Hey, how you doing today? I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm so grateful for you. I feel so blessed to have you in my life, to know you, and to really be able to reach out to you. You can tell, yes, I'm adjusting my camera as we're talking. Don't you like that picture behind me? It really does kind of encapsulate, whatever the right word I'm looking for is, kind of the new life, living out here in Kansas and all the different cool things that are going on. I've got some other cool pictures, and I'm still debating whether I want this in my backdrop or the painting my dad did or the Eagles. So many great things. Maybe I'll just switch pictures every time. But it really, in spite of talking to you about my background, I really just came on to just talk to you for a minute and tell you how wonderful you are, how grateful I am to have you in my life. I'm so blessed to know you, to be here for you, to have worked with so many of you, helping you share that message that you have with the world, making the difference that only you can make. It's so cool, the stuff that you do in the world. I'm really, really blessed. Those of you that have read the email, if not, feel free to read it. Spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. I have spent the bulk of 2023 sick. In fact, up until the end part of last week when I wrote that email and began to crawl out of the cocoon of sickness, I think I've been well, maybe a sum total of 10 days, the entirety of this whole year. Makes for some really interesting things as far as business goes. We've still helped some people become bestsellers this year, done some really incredible things, and had some real bonuses and advantages that have happened still in our life. But we've been doing all of it at less than, a lot less than. There was a point there at one point that I was so sick, I think I was sleeping about 20 hours a day. Just ridiculous. If I could have figured out a new plan to be able to get paid for just sleeping, that would have been the perfect program for me because that was pretty much all I could do. And I'm really grateful to be through it. Some of you are going to ask, well, what happened? What's going on? I think it was actually a string of things that were several different illnesses of different types, one after the other. And they just kind of all cascaded together. More than anything, I think what it really was God was just like, all right, you're not going to take a break on your own. Then I'm just going to kind of help you take a little bit of a break. So I did that. I feel refreshed. I'm excited for the possibilities. It is 2023 already. Oh my gosh. How many of us, myself, right? How many of us never even imagined or contemplated 2023? Back in the mid 80s, I was listening to a really cool song by Jerusalem from their Warrior album from like 1983, I think it was. Great music. I still recommend it. Look up the band Jerusalem, the song Constantly Changing from the Warrior album on YouTube. It's available there. Totally worth it. And then I was listening to DC Talks Jesus Freak, and I'm like, man, so much great stuff. But in the mid 80s, we didn't contemplate. I mean, in the mid 80s, the futuristic robots and space travel movies were mostly based in 2020 something, right? Back to the Future were what, like 5 years plus beyond the future and Back to the Future too. So a lot of stuff going on, right? I hope though that as 2023 has come through, goods and bads, lots of stuff to deal with, that you find yourself happy, safe, warm, and loved, that you know how special you are, that you know that the things that you do in this world, oh, we're so blessed in this world for you to show up just as you are. And here's the thing. Some of you have heard me say it, others of you haven't, but I want you to hear it whether you have or not. I want you to hear it clearly. You are wonderful. And all you need to do is show up while it's called today. Be the best you that you can be today. Now, I was actually sharing with a friend, I'm like, sometimes, and here's where it gets tough, because sometimes being the best version of ourselves today is self-care. It is sleeping 20 hours a day because you're really sick. It is having a day where it's a day of rest. Yesterday, we took mom to church for Mother's Day. It was a brand new church. We've never been there before. And I don't know if we'll ever necessarily go back, but that was what Mom wanted for Mother's Day. So we took her. And, for those of you that don't know, my mom is now living here with me and my brother Bert. And, we're taking care of her. And life is like it always is. Each day has its blessings and its challenges and its new things, stuff that if you had asked me 2 years, 5 years, 10 years ago, wouldn't have even been on my radar. But yet we're so blessed right here where we are. And I'm so blessed because I get to speak to you today. I get to come to you live and be able to tell you, in case nobody else has, you're wonderful. You're incredible. You're amazing. And I'm so blessed, so grateful to have you in my life. Thanks so much for what you do. Many of you have amazing best-selling books. Some of you have more than one. And it's really cool. I'm so blessed for the ones of you that I've been privileged to be part of that journey. And for the others of you that maybe I wasn't actively a part, I still cheer the victory of you putting your words out. For some of you, the book's out. It isn't a bestseller yet. We could, of course, help you with that. Anything that I can do to help, I'm always here for you. Others of you have that book burning inside of you and it hasn't come out yet. Now's the time. We always look for that perfect moment. I've done it myself. My 21st #1 international best-selling book called Playing Hit It and Quit It with Jesus. I was being interviewed by someone and they were like, tell us about this book and tell us about the process of book writing, like they do when they're talking to me. And I was like, well, honestly, Playing Hit It and Quit It, it took a little over 2 years to come out. And for those of you that know me, that's a long, long time in book space for me. I can do a book in as little as 30 days. I've even actually done a couple of my books in as little as a couple of weeks. And some of you will be like, yeah, I've read them. They show it, Steve. No, but seriously, but that particular book, there was growth that was happening in me. And even though I knew what God was saying to me and that it needed to be said, I had to grow to the point where I could accept it myself and feel worthy of the message. Do you ever feel that way? You have something deeply, intensely burning within you, and you just don't feel worthy. It's like, how can I give this? I remember right after the divorce, one of my friends was trying to encourage me to write and blog and talk about the divorce. And I was just like, no, I can't do that. I just can't. Another one of my friends, this was even more amazing. It was really kooky to me at the time. He's like, no, you need to write a book about being a good husband, about being married. That was some of the germs of what Playing Hit It and Quit It ended up being, was learning how to be the bride of Christ, how to be the husband to our wife by being in submission to Jesus. And I didn't feel like I had the right to be able to say it because I had gone through 2 divorces. And yet it's so cool to see as life comes through. And I'm working on an even more intense book. I wish I could tell you that, hey, it's going to pop out in 30 days. I've been working on it for about 1.5 years now, too. Very deeply, intensely wonderful message that I don't feel worthy of bringing out. And yet God's prompting me, and we're working on it. And we're getting there. And it'll come out for you just in the right time. Some of you know that feeling, don't you? You have that message inside of you, and it's burning inside of you. And you've been playing around with it or working really hard on it. And you know that it's time for it to come out. Or maybe you really want for it to come out, but you're not totally sure how to make that happen. Well, I'm here to tell you that it can happen. It doesn't have to be necessarily as hard. And more importantly, someone's waiting on you. There is somebody who's looking for that very thing. We all do it. It's so easy for us that we haven't written that book yet. I think I've got a couple of those myself. Because it's just so simple that can't possibly be something that anybody else is struggling with. And yet there's somebody right now that's like, oh, that's so difficult. I walked through the kitchen a little while ago and my mom was doing dishes. Not because I asked her, but just because, it's one of those things that is so part of her life that it's hard to make her sit down, honestly, sometimes. Sometimes I have to trick her into doing things that is doing nothing. Is your mom like that too? But she was doing the dishes, and I watched, and obviously the 80 plus years of having done housework and stuff, it showed that she's just really talented at it. But yet I'm sure that if I walked out right now and I said, "Hey mom, let's write a book about doing dishes," first of all, that wouldn't sound like fun to her at all. And second of all, she couldn't imagine somebody who would struggle with doing the dishes. Everybody knows how to do dishes. Didn't everybody grow up doing dishes like she did? And yet some of you didn't. Some of you even struggle with how to load the dishwasher properly, or you do like many of us, myself included. You just kind of rinse them and fill them with water, and when the sink gets full, then you're like, oh yeah, I got to do dishes. If you're a single person, it's really easy to fall in that, and because you have just like one or two little items, so you just let them set 2-3 days, maybe even a week, and that's okay. No judgment. It's just kind of some of the things we do when we're single that are different when we start having a house full of people. And there's somebody who, even if they're single, and even if there's just only those few dishes terrorize them. They sit there in the sink taunting them, laughing at them. They're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do dishes, right? And some of you are thinking that's so facetious. Nobody struggles like that with dishes, and yet there are people that do. There are also people who have just flat out chosen to not do it. I can tell you, when I was living by myself in California, I had created a lifestyle where I created very, 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 very few dishes. There's something to be said for disposable plates and disposable silverware and disposable napkins, and those foil cooking containers that you can cook the food in, and then when you're done you just throw the cooking utensil away too, because that's what it's meant to do. I'm not talking about going out and buying a really nice pot and pan and throwing it away because you're not doing dishes. I'm just simply talking about those aluminum foil things that you can buy, and then sometimes you cook and then you have to do dishes. But I created that life because that was the life I wanted. I wanted to spend more time helping you with your book, sharing with you how incredible you are, and less time standing over the sink and having it hurt my back and my legs. And that was the life that I created. And now life's different, and it's good too. And you'll find that you're in that place too, and that life changes, and you're where you are. And those things that are so simple for you, somebody else, they need you to share it because it's tough for them. That simple trick or tip of how much you can save time with paper plates and plastic forks, just like I shared with you, may be a total breakthrough for somebody who's single in their house and doesn't really want to do that and didn't know any other way. And so we write those things down and we share them. Your book doesn't have to be this giant tome that weighs down the desk and is almost impossible to lift. It may be short. There's a book called Marketing in Less Than 1,000 Words. The book is literally 999 words. Amazing tips on marketing. 6 pages long. Whatever you have on your heart, share it with the world. Our messages are really only as valuable as we put them to work in our lives, but more so as we share them with the world, because somebody's waiting on you. Somebody needs who you are and what you do to help them with the thing they're struggling with. And I know you'll do it because, like I said, you're awesome. You're wonderful. I'm so blessed to know you. I hope that this message encouraged you, that you feel happy, safe, warm, and loved, that you know that you are so wonderfully, uniquely brilliant, and that the world truly does need you. And that whether I come back on live tomorrow, which would be my plan, best laid plans of mice and men, or as it's been lately, a lot of time slips by before the next one, know that I'm here for you. I'm praying for you. If there's ever anything I can do for you, feel free to reach out because I'd love to help you. You can go to WeWriteBestsellers.com. It's a brand new landing page that I just had made. I really like the way it looks. It's very simple, but very clean. WeWriteBestsellers.com. And you can fill out a form, contact me and we can take the next steps of communicating and talking and getting together. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. I hope that you have an amazing day. And until we're together again next time, a great